The 7 rules of money that no one ever told you. Machiavelli knew. They lied to you. They told you that money was just a tool, that it didn't buy happiness, that the purest souls had no interest in it, that wealth was a distraction, a temptation, something that corrupted the innocent. But here's the truth Machiavelli knew, and the world still hides from you. Money is power, and power is survival. You're not playing a financial game. You're playing an existential game. And in this game, those who misunderstand the rules are devoured, slowly, quietly, without even realizing it. The real tragedy is not poverty. It's financial blindness. And most people walk through life with their eyes closed. You've been taught to admire those who struggle quietly, to see poverty as noble, to romanticize the artist starving in his attic. But Machiavelli would call this a trap, a beautiful illusion designed to keep you small. He understood that money doesn't corrupt. It reveals, and that the man who fears money secretly fears his own capacity for influence. Because to master money is to master options, and to master options is to threaten the status quo. That's why no one ever taught you the real laws. That's why the 7 rules you're about to discover were buried, ridiculed, or wrapped in moral confusion. Because if you knew them, truly knew them, you would stop obeying. You would stop begging. You would stop apologizing for your hunger. This is not a video about finance. This is a video about truth, about strategy, about the hidden mechanics of the world that governs your freedom, your decisions, and even your relationships. Money is not the root of all evil. It's the mirror of all desire. And the man who controls it controls the tempo of life. Machiavelli was not just a political thinker. He was a realist of the human soul. And what he saw in gold was not greed, but leverage, advantage, sovereignty. And it's time you learned what he knew. But be warned, what you'll hear in this video will disturb your comfort. It will challenge your beliefs. It may even trigger guilt you've been carrying for years. Let it, because on the other side of discomfort lies liberation, and on the other side of fear lies clarity. If you've ever felt ashamed for wanting more, if you've ever sabotaged your own success without knowing why, if you've ever sensed that there was a deeper, darker logic behind wealth that no one talks about, you're in the right place. And you're not crazy. Now, before we dive into these 7 rules, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. Not for me, but for yourself. Write, I give myself full permission to master money. Let this be your ritual of awakening, like the breaking of a mental chain. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, like this video. Share it with someone who still believes money is dirty. And most importantly, stay with me until the end. Because the final truth I'll reveal is the one most fear to accept. A truth so quiet that it controls everything. Let's begin. To understand the rules of money Machiavelli saw, you have to go back, not to banks, not to Wall Street, but to the battlefield of human nature. Before paper, before coins, before nations, in every civilization, power flowed toward those who controlled access to land, to food, to shelter, to information. Money, in its earliest form, wasn't currency. It was control. It was trust. It was the symbol of who you had to serve and who had to serve you. And over time, those symbols became coins. The coins became systems, and the systems became invisible prisons. But the logic never changed. Money always followed power, and power always followed perception. Machiavelli lived in a time of ruthless transition. Florence was a nest of betrayal, ambition, and illusion. He watched noble families rise and fall overnight, not because they lost battles, but because they misunderstood the theater of wealth. Gold was not gold. It was reputation, image, alignment, fear. And the one who learned how to manipulate these illusions, even without possessing physical wealth, could control kings. That's the first truth they buried. Money is not physical. It's psychological. It's a shadow game. And in that game, perception is worth more than possession. Over the centuries, something tragic happened. As the modern world emerged, money was stripped of its sacred weight. It became mechanical, mathematical, sterile, and in doing so we lost our intuition. We stopped seeing money as energy. We stopped honoring its psychological roots. We forgot that wealth is an echo of inner clarity or inner confusion. The ancient Chinese masters saw money as flowing qi. The Vedic sages tied it to karma. Even in early Christian traditions, gold was not evil. It was a tool to be purified by intention. But then came industrialism, then capitalism, then mass propaganda, and suddenly desiring money meant you lacked virtue. Suddenly, being poor became a badge of moral superiority. That lie still controls millions. The real reason you are never taught the 7 rules is because they require inner authority. They demand sovereignty. And sovereign people are difficult to manipulate. They don't obey just to fit in. They don't suffer silently to be accepted. They don't spend to impress people they secretly resent. And so the world flooded you with distractions, taught you to chase wealth emotionally instead of strategically, to confuse luxury with legacy, to mistake speed for direction. And in that confusion, you became predictable. You became exploitable. You became profitable. Not for yourself, but for others. Machiavelli saw through the illusion. He understood that wealth is not about accumulation. It's about position. It's not about fairness. It's about timing. It's not about being liked. It's about being unmovable. That's why this video doesn't offer you tips. It offers you power, a different lens. And as we begin to explore the first rule, I ask you to breathe deeply and let go of everything you think you know about money. Because nothing you've learned so far was designed to make you free. Now we begin. This is the moment where comfort ends and strategy begins. What you're about to discover is not financial advice. It is a decoding of reality. These 7 rules are not written in any economics textbook. They are lived, felt, used in silence by those who rise without explaining how. These are not tricks. They are weapons of clarity, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Each one is a key, a shift in perception, a psychological tool that changes the way money responds to you. So listen carefully, because the rules don't work for those who remain asleep. Rule 1. Money respects direction, not intention. You've been told to set goals, to dream big, to visualize success. But money doesn't respond to vague wishes. It responds to precision. Machiavelli understood this well. A prince without a map is a danger to his own kingdom. You can feel motivated, spiritual, determined, but if you're not moving in a measurable direction, you're invisible to the game. Most people confuse motion with progress. They burn energy, make plans, chase opportunities, but they never anchor themselves. Why? Because anchoring requires decision, and decision kills fantasy. That's why the wealthy always seek clarity, not noise, not feelings, clarity. Show me where you're going. Show me what you're building. Show me how you'll endure the winter. If you can't answer that, money will avoid you. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're undefined. Direction creates magnetic gravity, and gravity attracts resources. No direction, no attraction. Rule 2. Money flows to those who control perception. You think money comes from hard work, from talent, from credentials. That's a lie. Machiavelli would laugh. He knew power came from narrative, from appearance, from the ability to control what others see and don't see. In the modern world, this rule is more alive than ever. Your bank account doesn't reflect your true value. It reflects how well you've positioned that value. The invisible force is positioning, and positioning is an art of power. Do you speak like a leader or a follower? Does your presence command interest or disappear into noise? Are you seen as the solution or the seeker? Money follows perception like a shadow follows light. It doesn't care if you're the best. It cares if people believe you are. That's why marketing is not manipulation. It's survival. Invisibility is the slowest form of financial death. Rule 3. Money escapes those who seek approval. Here's the paradox. The more you try to impress people, the more money escapes you. Why? Because approval is a form of debt. When you seek validation, you're signaling dependence. You're saying, I need you to like me in order to feel worthy. And money, like power, detests neediness. Machiavelli warned rulers about this sickness of the soul. He knew that the man who tries to be loved by all is already a slave. Approval is expensive. It costs energy, time, peace. And worst of all, it robs you of your edge. The need to be liked makes you predictable. It softens your instincts. It distorts your strategy. You buy things you don't need. You say yes when you mean no. You perform instead of build. The real wealthy are often misunderstood, criticized, even hated, but they're free. And freedom is the true currency. When you stop trading your identity for applause, money will finally feel safe with you. Don't need to nay. Rule 4, money grows in silence. This one is dangerous because it goes against everything social culture promotes. We are taught to share, to display, to constantly update the world on our moves. But Machiavelli saw it clearly. Silence protects power. When you speak too soon, you invite sabotage. When you show too much, you expose your leverage. Money needs privacy to mature. Like a seed in the soil, it grows best when hidden. People don't need to know your next move. They don't need to understand your motives. They don't need to see your earnings. The moment you share your vision with the wrong energy, it begins to decay. Because envy is silent, doubt is contagious, and judgment is cheap. Wealth multiplies in solitude. The most powerful people are rarely loud. They are strategic. The most dangerous lions don't roar. They wait. Rule 5, money rewards, identity, not effort. This is the rule that breaks most minds. You were conditioned to believe in fairness, in merit, in the linear logic that says, work hard, get paid. But money is not fair. It is biased toward identity. It flows faster to those who embody certainty, who speak like they belong, who walk into rooms as if they own the floor. You can work 10 times harder than someone else and still earn less. Not because you're less talented, but because your identity is still negotiating for permission. Machiavelli saw how kings elevated men not for what they did, but for what they represented. Perception of power is often more valuable than real skill. So ask yourself, who do you believe you are in the money game? A servant, a player, a leader, a victim? Because money responds to your self-concept like a mirror responds to your gaze. It doesn't give you what's fair. It gives you what matches your internal story. And now I ask you a question, one you must answer in the comments, even if it disturbs you. What unconscious belief are you carrying about money that keeps you small? Take a moment, write it down. Say it out loud, because naming it is the first step to dissolving it. Let's go deeper. If the first 5 rules broke your illusions, the next 2 will break your boundaries. Because they touch something even more hidden. Not your beliefs about money, but your beliefs about yourself. Machiavelli knew that the final stage of power was not control over others, but the ability to no longer be seduced by illusions. These next truths are not strategies, they are awakenings. They are confrontations with the part of you that still seeks escape, comfort, or permission. Listen closely, because these final 2 rules are not meant to help you get rich. They're meant to make you dangerous. Rule 6, money is a game of emotional coldness. You think money is numbers, that it's about logic, math, data. No, money is emotion. But the one who wins is the one who feels the least, while others feel too much. Machiavelli would call it control of the pulse. Imagine this, a market crashes and fear spreads like wildfire. Everyone runs, sells, panics, but the one who is emotionally neutral, who sees fear but doesn't become it, that man becomes rich. Not because he's smarter, but because he's colder. Not cruel, cold, precise, strategic. While others lose their minds, he keeps his rhythm. You've been taught that being emotional makes you human. That reacting is normal. But when it comes to money, your emotions are used against you. Ads are designed to make you insecure. Sales tactics are built to trigger urgency. Trends manipulate your fear of missing out. You don't spend because you need, you spend because you're trying to feel something. Control, belonging, excitement, identity. And in that moment, you're no longer the player. You're the puppet. Machiavelli saw that great rulers had to stand still in storms, that the one who could smile in uncertainty would always rule those who cry in comfort. So ask yourself, who owns your nervous system? Are you calm when others panic? Are you sharp when others hesitate? Or do you move with the crowd, hoping someone else knows what to do? Money doesn't reward drama, it rewards poise. If you can't remain emotionally neutral in a storm, you are not ready to hold great wealth. Because wealth is not a feeling, it's a responsibility. Rule 7. Money serves the one who creates value, not the one who deserves it. This is the final rule. And it's the most brutal, because it kills the myth of justice. You've been told your value will be recognized, that the world rewards good people, that time will eventually see you. But the truth is harsher. The world doesn't reward the good. It rewards the useful. It doesn't care if you suffered. It doesn't care if you worked hard. It doesn't care if your intentions were pure. The only thing money respects is value. And value is not what you feel. It's what others need. Machiavelli would say, if the people are starving, feed them. Not because you love them, but because their loyalty will buy your throne. He knew that the one who creates solutions wins loyalty. That the one who becomes necessary cannot be removed. And this is the final truth about money. To attract it, you must stop thinking about what you want and start becoming the answer to what others lack. Ask yourself, what pain do you solve? What clarity do you bring? What system do you simplify? What emotion do you calm? The deeper your answer, the more money will flow toward you. Because wealth is not a reward, it's an echo. It follows the one who becomes irreplaceable. And if no one needs you, no one pays you. That's why entitlement is poison. The belief that you should have more by now is a trap. It makes you resentful instead of resourceful. It makes you wait instead of build. And money does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who create, ruthlessly, intelligently, repeatedly. Now I want you to write this in the comments. I will no longer wait to be rewarded. I will become valuable on my terms. Say it out loud or type it below. Because when you declare it, something shifts. You stop being a seeker. You become a source. You've heard the 7 rules. And if you've made it this far, it means something inside you has already shifted. A seed was planted, a tension awakened. But now comes the real work. Because knowing the laws changes nothing. Living them changes everything. What you're about to receive is not advice. It's a discipline, a path, a practice of thought, behavior, and energetic alignment that transforms your entire relationship with wealth. You don't need more hustle. You don't need another strategy from the internet. You need to become the kind of person money trusts. And that requires a different kind of power. Silent, focused, patient, and unshakable. For each rule, Machiavelli would whisper to you, there is a mirror you must hold up to yourself. These rituals will not feel easy. They will feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But transformation always begins with discomfort. So if you're ready, prepare yourself. Turn off distraction, breathe deeply, and commit to what follows. Because if you practice these disciplines daily, not for a week but for life, money will stop running from you. It will start orbiting around you, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Let's begin the transformation. Practice for Rule 1. Clarity, ritual every morning. Before you check your phone, before you open your emails, write down 3 sentences. Where am I going? What am I building? What must I do today that aligns with that vision? Don't write fluff. Don't write affirmations. Write action, direction, precision. If you cannot answer clearly, don't move. Sit in silence until your mind becomes sharp. This trains your nervous system to think like a leader, not a wanderer. Machiavelli would say, a prince who moves without a map ends up fighting battles he cannot win. So start with the map, always. Practice for rule 2. Positioning exercise, stand in front of a mirror. Ask yourself, how would I talk, walk, and speak if I were already wealthy? Then rehearse it. Not as fantasy, as practice. Because identity is trained, not found. Next, audit your digital presence. Your email signature, your social bios, the way you respond to messages. Are you presenting yourself like a solution or a seeker? Do you carry authority or apology? Rewrite your image to match the power you're cultivating. Not to lie, but to lead. Perception is leverage. Use it. Practice for rule 3, detachment challenge. For 1 full week, don't explain yourself. Don't defend your opinions. Don't justify your boundaries. Every time you feel the need to impress or seek approval, pause, breathe, observe, then say nothing. This will hurt, but it will train your nervous system to detach from validation. The man who doesn't need applause becomes unbreakable. Machiavelli would call it reclaiming your throne from the mob. You don't exist to be liked. You exist to be real. Remember that. Practice for rule 4. Wealth in silence, starting today. Create a sacred vault, a secret project, a bank account, a side goal, something no one knows about. Share it with no one. Grow it in silence. Work on it daily. This is your seed of sovereignty. The more you speak of it, the more it weakens. Let it grow in the dark. Silence is your new ally. You owe no one explanations. And the deeper you're quiet, the louder your results will speak in time. Practice for rule 5. Identity rewiring each. Night before sleep, repeat this sentence. I am not waiting. I'm becoming. Then visualize yourself walking through the world as someone who belongs, in the room, at the table, in the game. No more asking for permission. No more shrinking. Begin to embody wealth now. In your walk, your voice, your spine, your decisions. Identity leads. Results follow. Stop performing your past. Begin rehearsing your future. Money will meet you there. Practice for rule 6. Emotional neutrality training. Once a day, expose yourself to something uncomfortable. Cold shower. Delayed gratification. A conversation you've been avoiding. Each time, breathe slowly. Stay calm. Observe your pulse. Do not react. This is how you build your emotional armor. Because when others panic, you will remain still. This discipline will save you fortunes in the future. You will no longer be manipulated by urgency, comparison, or fear. You will move when you decide, not when your emotions command you. And that is power. Practice for rule 7. Daily value creation. Every morning, ask yourself, what can I create today that someone needs? Not what do I want to do? What do they need? Then do it, publish it, share it, sell it, offer it. Do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait to feel inspired. Become useful every single day. Machiavelli knew this. The man who becomes necessary is never removed. Make yourself needed, not once, but daily. And money will never forget your name. The bonus practice, reprogramming the inner script once a week. Sit in silence. No noise, no movement. Just you and this one question. What do I believe about money that is no longer true? Write the answer. Watch the old belief collapse. Then burn the paper or delete the note. This is your ritual of purification, of cleansing internal viruses, of updating the software of your mind. Because every limitation you've lived was first a sentence you believed. Set fire to it, rebuild. These aren't hacks. They are habits of sovereign people. If you do them once, nothing will change. If you do them daily, everything will. There is no magic here, only the brutal beauty of repetition. Do not chase results, chase discipline, and the results will chase you. So now you know. Not just the 7 rules, but the shape of a new reality, a different gravity, a different game. You've seen what was hidden. You've felt the weight of truths that were buried under centuries of noise. And more importantly, you've started to remember who you were before the world taught you to be afraid of your own power. Let's pause here. breathe, not as an ending, but as a threshold. Because this moment is not about money, it's about awakening. It's about walking through the fire of clarity and choosing not to turn back. Most people will. Most people will hear what you heard, feel what you felt, and still go back to their comfort, their distractions, their excuses. That is their right. But you who have listened to every word until now, you have a different path opening in front of you. It's quiet, lonely, demanding, but it is the path of sovereignty. And it begins with one choice: to never again betray your intelligence to protect your illusion. Machiavelli didn't write for the weak. He wrote for the dangerous, for those willing to see life as it is, not as they wish it were. And when he spoke of power, he was not glorifying cruelty. He was warning the blind. Because power, like fire, is neither good nor evil. It simply burns. It illuminates. It destroys what is false. And money, in the end, is the most visible reflection of invisible power. If you don't shape it, it shapes you. If you don't command it, it consumes you. If you don't claim it, someone else will claim you. So what will you choose? Another year of quiet resentment. Another cycle of self-sabotage dressed as humility. Another attempt to prove your worth to people who are just as lost as you once were. Or will you walk? Not fast, not loud, but forward, silently, deliberately, strategically, practicing the rules, living the discipline, building in the dark, speaking only when necessary, acting only when precise, becoming so aligned, so dangerous in your clarity that wealth has no choice but to orbit around you. Do you understand now? The world does not reward the loud. It rewards the clear. It does not pay the desperate. It pays the irreplaceable. It does not give to those who beg. It gives to those who move, like they already own what they seek. This was never about tricks. It was about transformation, the kind that doesn't make noise, but changes everything. And so I leave you with this final truth, the quiet revelation I promised at the start. Money is not the goal. It is the echo of your clarity, the echo of your alignment, the echo of your self-respect, the echo of your value, the echo of your silence. It comes to those who no longer chase it. It stays with those who no longer fear it, and it multiplies in those who no longer apologize for having it. If you want to change your bank account, change the way you breathe when you talk about money. Change the story you tell yourself when you spend. Change the posture you hold when you ask. Change the way you show up in the presence of power, not to shrink, not to submit, but to understand that you were born with a throne in your mind, and the crown was always internal. So, now what? Now you practice. Now you detach. Now you build. Now you stop waiting for permission. Now you write in the comments, not for me, but for your future self, this one phrase: I do not chase money. I command value. I attract wealth by who I become. And if something inside you stirred during this journey, if even one rule shifted your way of seeing life, then don't keep this video to yourself. Share it. Someone else out there is still living in the illusion, still afraid to become who they truly are. You can be the reason they awaken. And finally, subscribe. Not just to the channel. Subscribe to the version of yourself that refuses to die in silence. Like this video, not as a gesture of support, but as a mark of decision, a line in the sand. And return to this voice, this message, this mirror, whenever the world tries to pull you back into confusion, because Machiavelli was right. The one who sees clearly cannot be ruled. And now, you see,